It is a fresh new week. Today is Monday, this September day. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Uganda. What you do that stands out is starting your day with us every single morning. So if you're joining us for the first time, this is the plot you should have every single morning from 6:30 in the morning to 9 a.m. where we give you key updates regarding all the stories that you have seen on social media and in the mainstream media. Now we will have topical discussions as well as some bit of entertainment, because that is our mandate as the national broadcaster. We are coming to you live from our broadcast house here at Nile Avenue. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and right next to me is Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono, and in Studio B I have Jerome Paul Sonko. Now together we delve into the issues for the day and help you to start your day. Now on Good Morning Uganda, at some point we will be giving you news updates from our local news and of course international news stories, and Jerome Paul Sonko will take you through the press review to see what the dailies have highlighted today. Also on Good Morning Uganda, we will give you business updates, Tourism Express updates, and also traffic updates. So we have so much on this buffet that you might gain from. That's why you should stick with us up until 9 a.m. Later on, we will be speaking to the Minister for Kampala and also the Under Secretary for Kampala Capital City Authority on a massive road project that the President is yet to launch. It's a 5-year project that will see Kampala roads updated to the standards that are worthy of a capital city. But before we get into those conversations, I'd like to check on the team. It was a long weekend and therein happened so many things. So sometimes we have stories to tell come Monday. And I'll start with Robert right here. Good morning.
A lovely morning to you.
How are you?
I'm very fine. You look... I love what my eyes are seeing this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. You always give me that, you know, women, we like the compliments. So every time they come in, I'm like, yes, half of my day is done.
Yeah, and the truth is, I'm always realistic. I just hope that you don't disappoint me one day. Because still I'll make the same comments and I'll say, today,
all right.
For now, it is very okay. You're smart and looking so energized for Monday, I must say.
I am, and you look amazing in your suit and tie.
Oh, thank you. Our viewers, it's good to always compliment the people you're with. Tell them why it's deserving. Now, my weekend was fine. I was omwogezi on omukolo of kuchala.
Okay.
For gift and Ramadan Hakim. We visited a pastor's home and the pastor welcomed us. And things went on very well. But also on a larger nation perspective, we are mourning. That is the death of Minister of State for Defense, Sarah Mateke, whom, according to program, her body will be in Parliament today. I think there will be prayers, and we expect the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Samuel Kazimba, to lead that. Then later, the body will be there for some time, up to around 8 p.m. And the entire program will be giving it to you. It was a shock to many Ugandans, and we are still mourning, and we know she's been a woman member of parliament for a district. So losing such a person at such a time, not served so long since she took on that position, we just pray for God to strengthen her relatives, her family, and those close to her, plus the entire house and the NRM fraternity.
Well, we mourn with the family of the deceased, and we say, may her soul rest in eternal peace. It's normally a dark day when a family loses a loved one. It's something you can't wish on anyone, but we hope that the Lord strengthens her family and that she may rest in peace. Now, in Studio B, I have Jerome Paul Sonko. Now, over the weekend, one of the things I love to do is to check status updates, Sonko status updates. he keeps me like going, like 1 minute I'm here, the next minute I'm here, the next minute I'm here. I never know what he's going to share because he's quite a fun person and quite entertaining as well, but also quite brilliant, especially here on Good Morning Uganda. So allow me to check on the amazing Jerome Paul Sonko. Good morning.
Good morning to you, and good morning to our dear viewer. I like the tone, and you know, the expressions you've used to clearly give, I don't know, but this month is looking like a very good one on my side.
See?
Like everything is sticking in the right direction.
Nice.
But that said, the both of you really look great this Monday morning in
I
Studio
love your
A.
blazer.
You've told me that, and I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you very much, Chirabo. And well, the weekend, like you did ask Chirabo and myself, the weekend was a good one, and it started on a good note on Friday because as a football fanatic, when the Uganda Cranes were playing South Africa, I managed to catch that game from here in the evening because there were quite a number of, you know, people catching the game from here, especially those in the newsroom and others in the production as UBC was broadcasting that game. And then we managed to get a draw as Uganda Cranes 2-2. And this evening on Monday, Uganda Cranes will be playing at home. So many of the Ugandans have been urged to turn up in huge numbers ahead of that game, with even the Uganda Railways Corporation putting up the train to transport all the supporters right from 1 p.m. because from 1 p.m. that is when we expect the first train to travel to Nambole. And that means that after the game at 9 p.m. we shall as well have the train services available for Ugandans that will be making their way back to Uganda, and the return ticket is 4,000, meaning
their way back to Kampala to Uganda.
Kampala.
Yes?
Kampala, definitely.
Is it their way back to Kampala?
Yeah,
Okay.
their way back to Kampala. That is for the Ugandans that will be in Nambole. So the return ticket is 4,000, meaning if you pay 4,000, you can leave from the train station to Nambole and then come back. 4,000, 2,000 each on the journey. But that said, you have mentioned about the death of Honorable Matete, and well, it does seem like Western Uganda has not been having the best of the weekend because River Nyamwamba again burst its banks over the weekend and claiming 2 lives so far, and also leaving some parts of Kasese with a little bit of, you know, destruction, where some property was destroyed and a few people were as well displaced. And it does seem like when it comes to the issue of flooding in Kasese, we really need a serious emergency plan because it's an annual kind of situation that normally leaves scores dead, and then it also leads to destruction of property. But that said, as the week is starting, we hope that it will end on a good note, which I believe that it will. So why not? It's Monday, and here we are.
It's Monday, and here we are. So Kenya and Uganda have intensified surveillance at their borders as Mpox cases rise. Now, as a Ugandan, you need to understand the standard operating procedures, especially when you are a traveler. You might experience a delay at the border because everyone must be checked by both sides. If you're traveling from Uganda to Kenya, you might experience a delay at the border in Busia and in Malaba as health checks are being done. But it's for your own good, so please be calm when you travel and you find yourself delayed. Understand that it is to protect the citizens of the other country, but also to protect you. So you should take this and don't feel inconvenienced, in as much as I know to a degree it will be inconveniencing. But it also brings for the question, gentlemen, we have heard the talk about Mpox in Uganda, in DRC, and now reports coming in indicate that cases are rising. But if I may ask Chirabo and even Joram, what do you know about Mpox?
Well, apart from the signs and knowing that this is a deadly disease, all I can say is I've not really interested myself in the so much understanding of Mpox.
And it's important for us to understand, because if you don't know, you remember when we had COVID-19, it was important for us to know the symptoms. And because of that, when you coughed where there was a group of people, everyone scattered. And we were looking out for ourselves and protecting ourselves. So, Joram, would you know or would you share with our viewers some of the signs and symptoms of Mpox?
Well, surprisingly, one of the most common ones is back pain. And then there's an element of a sore throat. There is headache. Now, this is where most of the Ugandans have been, have been getting themselves in a worrying situation, because there are so many diseases that are attached to such symptoms, especially back pain, a sore throat, headache, because this is like a universal sort of a symptom. But then when it comes to the Mpox, there is also an element of rash. I think some of our viewers might have been victims of chicken pox back then.
Yes,
because I was a victim back in school.
Me too.
Yeah, so
it's known to many people.
Exactly.
That once you develop it, then brother, things are not okay.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to the symptoms of Mpox, there is also that element of rash, where you feel a skin rash somehow, and at times you're tempted to even scratch.
I think it's even more than a rash. It's like
more than a rash.
When the pictures I've seen, it looks more like blisters of some sort.
And more like bigger pimples, I should say.
Yeah,
the ones you
something
have
like
enough.
that.
But then there is also an element of low energy,
Yes.
fever. So when you have all these symptoms, then the chances are high you might be having it. It is better you go out and check with the health practitioners or the doctors to see whether you have it or you have a different disease, because you might not have Mpox, but when you're suffering from something else.
Yes, it is important to keep your health checks. And before we get into the news, Jerome, I would like for you to share a quote for the day.
Well, my quote for the day is one that is also coming in from an unknown person, but it's a beautiful one. It says that when nobody wakes you up in the morning, and when nobody waits for you at night, and when you can do whatever you want, what do you call it, freedom or loneliness? It's more like if you wake up in the morning and no one is going to text you or call you, or even in the night no one is asking you how your day was. Do you think that is freedom or you're lonely? Now
that's deep, and I will reflect on that. And as I do that, and as you do that, dear viewer, Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono will take us through our first news stories for the day.
And we'll begin with President Museveni, who has rallied a youth in Busoga sub-region to embrace government programs that are aimed at elevating their income to improve their livelihood. President Museveni was addressing youth who turned up at Kirima grounds for this year's Universal Church of Righteousness Youth Crusade in Kaliro District. This second Patriotic Youth Leaders Crusade was attended by ministers Jennifer Namuyangu, Barambaru Gahara, and NRM Secretary General Richard Todong. This was on the theme, Remember Your Creator in the Days of Your Youth. And moving on, health authorities in Kenya and Uganda have intensified Mpox surveillance at the shared borders as infections rise in the region. There are significant delays at key crossing points, particularly in Busia, Kenya, where truck drivers now face extended waiting time to be cleared. Truckers such as Joel Kingro report Democrats' changes since the first Mpox case was registered in Kenya. He notes that drivers are now advised to avoid close contact with those from affected areas, a sharp contrast to their previous ways of doing life. Kenyan and Ugandan health ministers have wrapped up efforts at border points like Malaba with mandatory health checks for all travelers. However, residents like Valentin Maloba expresses concern over the continued movement of individuals across borders, potentially spreading the virus to vulnerable populations. Dr. David Mukabi, Director of Health in Busia, highlights the challenge in containing the virus, especially when individuals crossing through unauthorized points. Despite these efforts, Kenya recently confirmed its 5th Mpox case, underscoring the ongoing risk at this critical border crossing point. And moving on, National Forestry Authority, NFA, has launched an ecotourism initiative in collaboration with the Bugoma Primate Conservation Project to conserve the remaining sections of Bugoma Central Forest Reserve. The initiative was officially launched at Kaboya Sub-County, Kikube District. National Forestry Authority Public Relations Officer Juliet Mubi said ecotourism offers a sustainable solution to reducing the pressure on forest. She emphasized that forests are rich biodiversity, including primates like the chimpanzee and baboons, which could serve as a major attraction for tourists. Mubi also encouraged the public to embrace local tourism due to its economic growth and environmental conservation. Walter Akankwasa, a researcher with the Bugoma Conservation Project, stressed that preserving the forest ecosystem as an issue. And finally, from the local scene, the NRM General Secretary Richard Todong has realized the Foreign Minister of State for Defense, Sarah Nyirabashitisi Mateke, who died in Mengo Hospital, where she was rushed after she developed heart complications. Todong described the deceased politician as a dedicated member of NRM after the people of Kisoro elected her to Parliament following her mobilization skills. Honorable Sarah Mateke has presented the people of Kisoro in Parliament at all times, where need be, for close to 15 years.
Now we move on to the international news stories, and we will start in Pakistan, where thousands of people have taken to the streets in the Pakistani capital demanding the release of former Prime Minister Imran Khan, who has been behind bars for more than a year on what his party calls a politically motivated charges. Khan's Pakistani Tehreek-e-Insaf (PTI) party organized the rally in Islamabad on Sunday, marking its first show of strength since the disputed national and regional elections in February. Images and videos posted on the social media platform X showed Khan's supporters marching towards the capital from various parts of the country. "We will not rest until Khan is released from jail," said Khan's close aide Hamad Azhar in the opening speech that set the tone of the rally. Khan is the only person who can save this country from the clutches of corrupt and incompetent politicians, said Salman Akram Raja, a prominent lawyer and PTI leader from Lahore. Now moving on to the war in Ukraine, Iran recently transferred short-range ballistic missiles to Russia to use in the war against Ukraine, according to two sources familiar with the intelligence, completing a delivery that US and Western officials had warned was in the works for almost a year. It is not clear when exactly the missiles were delivered, but their transfer comes as Russia has intensified its missile and drone attacks on Ukrainian cities, and as Ukraine braces for large-scale Russian attacks on its energy infrastructure this winter. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told allies at a meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group in Germany on Friday that Ukraine urgently needed more air defense systems. The Wall Street Journal first reported that Iran had delivered the missiles. Now coming back to East Africa, firefighters were battling a blaze at a girls' school in central Kenya just 2 days after an inferno killed 21 boys at another school. The latest inferno, reported on Saturday evening, took place at Isiolo Girls High School in Isiolo County in central Kenya. Around 2 to 3 buildings are on fire, Isiolo County Communications Director Hussein Salesa told the AFP News Agency. National Police spokeswoman Rezila Onyango said a fire incident had been reported at the school at around 8 p.m., that is 17 GMT. Officers from Isiolo sub-county rushed to the scene and the fire has been contained with assistance by Kenya Defence Forces and Isiolo Airport fire engines, she said in a statement. The Kenya Red Cross also confirmed the incident, saying that a fire has been reported and that response teams have been activated. Well, that's sad news coming in from Kenya. Now let's see what the dailies have highlighted this morning with Jerome Paul.
Well, hands over stalls and lockups to 20,000 vendors. This is according to the New Vision. As they are saying, the hands are now tight for the stalls and lockups in markets as government kicks out landlords. Which markets are those? Find details in the New Vision. As also President Museveni urges Karamoja to embrace science in this new era. Nyirambashishi served with humility. More of those who served with the fallen minister share their side of the story as the late passed on over the weekend. Now, Nyamwamba banks burst again, a pictorial of the devastating state of Kasese following River Nyamwamba's banks bursting. Now, the UNOC imports fuel pump prices continue dropping as Stanbic exports top banking executives. Who are those? Find details in this report by the New Vision. Then the Daily Monitor, this morning, what do Museveni's 120 advisors tell him? The Daily Monitor asks, many mouth, little impact. After the appointment of musician Edirisa Musuza, popularly known as Eddie Kenzo, as senior presidential advisor on creatives, we sought out a number of the president's men and women on what advice they give to the head of state. Their responses were far from satisfactory, and it wasn't surprising. Story by the Daily Monitor. So read about the 120 advisors and what they were responding in regards to the questions from the Daily Monitor. Then over 80,000 car plates imported amid crisis. Now there's a consignment of at least 81,000 ordinary car number plates last evening that are in the country after 2 weeks of having no number plates in the country. Then healthy living, what it means to have a bad enamel. More of that is in the Daily Monitor. Now Mateke, Parliament to honor deceased Member of Parliament and Minister. And then Panorama, death of relative in prison leaves family searching for answers. And read about Father Grimes, the architect of holistic education, who was always ahead of government. Then away from the Ugandan perspective, the Daily Nation in Kenya, Ruto, China and dark standard gauge railway secrets. In matters infrastructure, President hopes to get a $5.3 billion share of China's $50 billion pledge to Africa. Then Edarasa horror, unanswered questions as detectives intensify probe. Then it's onwards and upwards from here. Freshly minted Nairobi City Marathon winners continue to dream big as state backs down on new university funding model. Then in labor, raw deal, 946 shilling salary raise for public servants as jintas over likely Ruto and Raila 2027 election deal. Then lastly, from our press review is the Citizen from Tanzania, why Dar is in the grip of road construction frenzy. Then how we have stood out from the crowd from day one. The Citizen continues to celebrate 20 years of existence and serving stories to Tanzanians. Then restaurant experience in Tanzania set for upgrade. How is that so? Find more in the Citizen. Abductions, killings draw condemnation as Samia orders action. And then cooking beans with electricity too costly. There is a new stove which has the people of Tanzania covered. As Mutwara Port achieves milestone with cashew exports. More of that is with our press review this morning.
Now we will leave you with the inspiration song of the day, which is Intentions from Justin Bieber. And when we come back, we will have a conversation regarding the massive road project that is being launched in Kampala by the President of Uganda. Why do we need this massive project? What triggered it? Those are questions that will be answered when we come back. Stick around. Good morning. So if you're joining us for the first time, this is the plot you should have every single morning from 6:30 in the morning to 9 a.m. where we give you key updates regarding all the stories that you have seen on social media and in the mainstream media. Now we will have topical discussions as well as some bit of entertainment, because that is our mandate as the national broadcaster. We are coming to you live from our broadcast house here at Nile Avenue. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and right next to me is Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono, and in Studio B I have Jerome Paul Sonko. Now together we delve into the issues for the day and help you to start your day. Now on Good Morning Uganda, on Good Morning Uganda, at some point we will be giving you news updates from our local news and of course international news stories, and Jerome Paul Sonko will take you through the press review to see what the dailies have highlighted today. Also on Good Morning Uganda, we will give you business updates, Tourism Express updates, and also traffic updates. So we have so much on this buffet that you might gain from. That's why you should stick with us up until 9 a.m. Later on, we will be speaking to the Minister for Kampala and also the Under Secretary for Kampala Capital City Authority on the massive road project that the President is yet to launch. It's a 5-year project that will see Kampala roads updated to the standards that are worthy of a capital city. But before we get into those conversations, I'd like to check on the team. It was a long weekend and therein happened so many things. So sometimes we have stories to tell come Monday. And I'll start with Robert right here. Good morning.
A lovely morning to you.
How are you?
I'm very fine. You look... I love what my eyes are seeing this
Thank
morning.
you. Thank you. You always give me that, you know, women, we like the compliments. So every time they come in, I'm like, yes, half of my day is done. Yeah,
and the truth is, I'm always realistic. I just hope that you don't disappoint me one day. Because still I'll make the same comments and I'll say, today,
all right.
For now, it is very okay. You're smart and looking so energized for Monday, I must say.
I am, and now, you look amazing in your suit and tie.
Oh, thank you. Our viewers, it's good to always compliment the people you're with. Tell them why it's deserving. Now, my weekend was fine. I was omwogezi on omukolo of kuchala.
Okay.
For gift and Ramadan Hakim. We visited a pastor's home and the pastor welcomed us. And things went on very well. But also on a larger nation perspective, we are mourning. That is the death of Minister of State for Defense, Sarah Mateke, whom, according to program, her body will be in Parliament today. I think there will be prayers, and we expect the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Samuel Kazimba, to lead that. Then later, the body will be there for some time, up to around 8 p.m. And the entire program will be giving it to you. It was a shock to many Ugandans, and we are still mourning, and we know she's been a woman member of parliament for a district. So losing such a person at such a time, not served so long since she took on that position, we just pray for God to strengthen her relatives, her family, and those close to her, plus the entire house and the NRM fraternity.
Well, we mourn with the family of the deceased, and we say, may her soul rest in eternal peace. It's normally a dark day when a family loses a loved one. It's something you can't wish on anyone, but we hope that the Lord strengthens her family and that she may rest in peace. Now, in Studio B, I have Jerome Paul Sonko. Now, over the weekend, one of the things I love to do is to check status updates, Sonko's status updates. he keeps me like going, like 1 minute I'm here, the next minute I'm here, the next minute I'm here. I never know what he's going to share because he's quite a fun person and quite entertaining as well, but also quite brilliant, especially here on Good Morning Uganda. So allow me to check on the amazing Jerome Paul Sonko. Good morning. Good
morning to you, and good morning to our dear viewer. I like the tone, and you know, the expressions you've used to clearly give, I don't know, but this month is looking like a very good one on my side.
See?
Like everything is sticking in the right direction.
Nice.
But that said, the both of you really look great this Monday morning in
I
Studio
love your
A.
blazer.
You've told me that, and I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you very much, Chirabo. And well, the weekend, like you did ask Chirabo and myself, the weekend was a good one. And it started on a good note on Friday because as a football fanatic, when the Uganda Cranes were playing South Africa, I managed to catch that game from here in the evening because there were quite a number of, you know, people catching the game from here, especially those in the newsroom and others in the production as UBC was broadcasting that game. And then we managed to get a draw as Uganda Cranes 2-2. And this evening on Monday, Uganda Cranes will be playing at home. So many of the Ugandans have been urged to turn up in huge numbers ahead of that game, with even the Uganda, with the Uganda Railways Corporation putting up the train to transport.
Voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Juko.
Yo.
Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the Parish Development Model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that.
Okay.
The Parish Development Model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
It's a beautiful Monday morning. Thank you for sticking with us. I'm Olive Monica Najuma, and this is time for our news bill. It's 8 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock on this September day. Now, the Ministry of Kampala, Capital City and Metropolitan Affairs is set to launch the Kampala Urban Development Program, which is a 5-year project aimed at enhancing mobility and connectivity within the Kampala metropolitan area. And I would like to believe that among these, the key items in this project would be things like your road network, cleanliness of the city, to mention but a few. But I am going to have this conversation with key people in this project to make us understand why the need for the project, what triggered the project, and then we will have our conversation going. Now, I'm having this conversation with Miss Monica Edemachu Ejao, who is the Undersecretary, Ministry of Kampala, and also the program coordinator, Mr. Bwanga George. Both of them will delve into this conversation with us to make us understand why the need for this project and why the President is much more interested in it. And I will first of all start with Miss Monica here. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Madam Najuma. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, and I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Bwanga George, good morning.
Good morning, Monica.
You're welcome to
and
Good Morning Uganda.
listeners.
All right, let's start from the beginning. Let's have a general overview about this program and what its key objectives could be.
Thank you, Madam Najuma, and our viewer. The Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area Urban Development Program is a 5-year Government of Uganda program that was a result of a strategy that Office of the President, Ministry of Kampala, Capital City and Metropolitan Affairs developed. This strategy focuses on improving economic infrastructure, job creation and the creation of workspaces for the unemployed youth, women, and the other economic growth clusters, and then focuses on protecting and conserving our environment. Again, it was looking at promoting tourism, making Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area a unique tourism sector, and then enhancing capacity of the implementing entities to improve service delivery in the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area. So Cabinet in 2020, March, approved this strategy that enabled us to embark on implementing, making the necessary preparations for the project, the program that His Excellency the President is going to launch in Chira tomorrow. So in May 2022, the World Bank Board approved this program, and the program is premised in 4 thematic areas. One is focusing on improving mobility, accessibility, and the interconnectivity. You know, before, the entities in Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area planned in silos. Kampala Capital City would plan its road infrastructure and stop somewhere.
Yes.
And leave Chira and other entities surrounding the city. So now, Office of the President, Ministry of Kampala and Metropolitan Affairs came in to coordinate planning across the entire metropolitan area. So we are looking at improving mobility, accessibility, and interconnectivity, promoting job creation by creating workspaces, that is looking at improving the already existing markets, artisan parks, skilling centers for the unemployed youth, because our strategy realized that one of the major challenges facing this region is unemployment, then traffic congestion, among others. Of course, flooding, you all know about it.
Yes.
And then we looked at drainage improvement and constructing environmentally resilient infrastructure. And then one of the main objectives of this program is the institutional strengthening and the coordination, and then building capacity of the GKMA entities and the Ministry of Kampala, Capital City and Metropolitan Area to affairs to be able to plan, coordinate, and invest appropriately. So that is the main focus of this Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area Economic Development Program.
Now, Ms. Ejao, in layman's language, briefly paint a picture of how this project is going to change or facelift Kampala Metropolitan in the next 5 years.
In the next 5 years, we are hoping that alternative road infrastructure will be put across the entire metropolitan area. And when we talk about Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area, we are looking at Kampala Capital City Authority,
yes,
the districts of Wakiso, Mpigi, Mukono, and the municipalities of Entebbe, Chira, Makinde Sabagabo, Nansana, and the Mukono municipality.
Yes.
So we are going to have a better and well-built, environmentally resilient infrastructure across the entire metropolitan. And of course, our designs are environment issues are taken into consideration. We are looking at creating roads where we have beautiful trees planted, drainages worked on, and this program.
Shall we have leisure parks as well?
Yeah, and you know, this program is demand driven. It is demand driven. It is the implementing entities that are coming up with what they needed. So we are saying leisure parks are within that. Artisan parks. We are saying incubation centers for skilling the unemployed youth.
That's right.
Is part of this program. So when the entities come up with these ideas, we consolidated them and took them to cabinet, and the cabinet approved, parliament cleared. So we are hoping to have a better environment to live in. But of course, to improve this region needs much more. But it is better we start and then we see how to make this a better place.
Oh, thank you so much. Now we are having a conversation regarding the launch of the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area Urban Development, and I'm having this conversation with Miss Monica Ejao, who is the Undersecretary Ministry of Kampala, but also I have Mr. Georgie Bwanga, who is the Program Coordinator. Now, Mr. Bwanga, it is said that this program is funded by the World Bank, the French government, and also Uganda's government, and it is with a budget of 2.9 trillion. So I would like for you to help us understand how this funding structure works and how important is this financial backing in the success of this project.
Thank you, Monica. As you've indicated, the funding for this program is from three arms. We have Government of Uganda.
Yes.
It's actually the chief financier because they are financing 571 million US dollars. Then we have the World Bank, which is financing 586 million US dollars, and the French Development Agency, AFD, is financing 42, making a total of $1,103 million.
Yes.
That's quite a lot of money. That's why you have translated into Uganda shillings to make 2.9 trillion.
Yes.
Now, the World Bank and the AFD, the World Bank funding has already been secured because we have already signed the financing agreement and the money that we are using to do the procurements and the projects that we have already entered into contract with. The French Development Agency, we are still negotiating, the Minister of Finance still negotiating with them, and we hope that by the end of this this calendar year, which is December, this financing will be through so that it joins the rest of the funding. The Government of Uganda funding is already on board because it doesn't need a starting point. It has been there and it will be there because the Government of Uganda is the owner of this program. Therefore, we already have the funding secured. And as you can see, the percentage of the money that is coming from the Government of Uganda and the World Bank is the majority. The AFD is financing 42 million, and it means that even if it comes a little late, like 6 months late, 1 year late, we'll still be able to proceed with the program, and then this money will join later on.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Now, still on the funding, many projects that we've had in the country, different projects, not necessarily under this ministry, have had one issue, and that has been mismanagement of funds. So one wonders how effectively the funds are going to be used and whether there are oversight mechanisms that have been put in place.
Thank you so much for that question. And we have instituted a number of measures to ensure that this money is not mismanaged.
Yes.
The first one is that this program is running on what we call a performance for results framework, which means that before money is given to an entity, first of all, the money comes to the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Finance.
Yes.
And then it is given to the Ministry for Kampala, Capital City and Metropolitan Affairs. The Ministry for Kampala then transfers portions of this money to the implementing entities of Wakiso, PG, Mukono, as elaborated earlier. But before these entities get this money, we have agreed with the bank and the financing agencies that there are certain conditions that these entities must fulfill, what we call the performance assessment. So a performance assessment is done before any money is released to any entity. And then when that money is released, again, there are measures to ensure that the money is not misused. We have audits. We have, for instance, we have the Office of the Auditor General. We have partnered with it to make sure that they audit every year all the entities to ensure that there is full accountability for this money, including value for money audits. We have ensured that the procurements are done properly in accordance with the law. And that means that the PPDA, we have also partnered with it to ensure that every procurement that is carried out very well and according to the law. We have also entered into partnership with other entities like NEMA to ensure that issues like environmental protection and social issues are catered for and are not misrepresented and looked after very well.
Thank you.
And another key institution
yes.
That is brought on board and which has the mandate is IG, Inspectorate of Government. All the major MDAs are on board in implementation of this program. They are in program technical committee. That is the overall coordinating that takes decisions, approves the work plans, procurement plans, and supports the Ministry of Kampala to play oversight role over the 9 implementing entities to ensure that the implementation is within the program development objective.
All right. The President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, will today in Chira be launching the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area Urban Development Program. Now, this program entails many things that will beautify Kampala Metropolitan Area, which includes places like Wakiso and Mukono, plus the Kampala capital city as you know it. And I'm having a conversation regarding the same with Miss Monica Edemachu Ejao, who is the Undersecretary, Ministry of Kampala, and also Mr. George Bwanga, who is the program coordinator. Now, you can join this conversation through WhatsApp number 0709602592. You could ask any questions. Miss Monica here and Mr. Bwanga will be in position to answer your queries. Now, Miss Monica, part of this project, the biggest chunk, one of the major components of this program is the construction of 330 kilometers of roads, and 140 kilometers are to be completed in the first year. What specific areas within Kampala are set to benefit from this road construction in the first year?
First of all, I want to make this correction that this construction, infrastructure development is in 5 years. Yes.
That's right.
And we have been preparing these projects. The flagship projects are in 2 entities. That is in Chira municipality, where we have Mbogo, Cyprian roads, and then in Mukono municipality, where we have DC Cathedral Rise, the road that goes through Kame Market to join Katosi Road. And then these ones already, the contracts have been signed.
I can attest to the Chira one. Roadwork started last week.
Yeah. So the contracts have been signed. The contractors are already there. And once the program is flagged tomorrow,
yes,
we expect these 3 contractors to be on board. And we have SICO in Chira. We have Quadruple C, that is China Communications Construction Company in Mukono municipality, and then Sterling.
Yes.
Now, we have run adverts for more entities. You saw in social media the roads that are going to be constructed in the next phase. We are now in the procurement process, trying to get successful bidders who can take over. And these are in the entities of Nansana, Mpigi. Mpigi, we have this Muduma, Mpigi Road. We have Entebbe. We have Makinde Sabagabo. The only entity that is at the preparatory stage, that is design stage, is Mukono district. Mukono district, we are going to look at Ibule, Ntenjero Road. The designs are at their final stages. So once the designs are completed, we'll also run the advert for construction works. So we are hoping that all the entities in phase 1,
yes,
it is not year 1. We told you that this program was approved by World Bank Board in May 2022, and it became effective December 2023. In December 2023, and having been effective, we embarked on preparation. You might have not seen us carrying out physical construction, but we were making sure that the designs are well prepared, and we prepare the communities, because there's voluntary acquisition of land. We have been engaging the communities to ensure that we have right of way. So in the process, we had this, of course, tangible work, construction work could not be undertaken immediately, because we wanted the people to be ready and we don't make any mistakes. So that is basically what we have been doing. And we are still appealing to our communities that please, you have known the challenges that are facing this region. Once we put this road infrastructure in place, automatically the value of land of the people will increase.
That's right.
So we should be able to look at the benefits associated to this program and then allow construction. One of the areas is drainage. I've talked about it.
Yes.
We have been complaining about flooding. Some of the drainages we are looking at is the completion of Rubiji. Rubiji. Then this Kaliduvi drainage. We have the PAPs, and we're still engaging them and dialoguing with them to ensure that we have access. And the faster we have this acquisition of the right of way, the faster we will proceed with implementation. And of course, one thing we must take into consideration, you earn the money. It is not just automatic. So each entity, that's why we're talking of financing on a program for results financing modality.
Yes.
The entities must meet, like Engineer Bwanga had said, some minimum conditions to access this money. So they have to work hard, put in place the critical staff. It is very risky to take a project to an entity where they don't have a district engineer. It is very risky to take this program where they don't have a community development worker. These are minimum conditions to accessing the funds. And of course, we are also focusing on coordinated investments across the metropolitan area. We must see that these entities are planning together. They sit and they're able to plan together, and we invest in a coordinated manner. So that is the key principle of this program.
Interesting. Please join the conversation through WhatsApp number 0709602592. You can also send a direct text message. Please remember to leave your name and place where you are texting from, and then I will relay the same messages to the Undersecretary of Ministry of Kampala here, but also Engineer Bwanga George, who is the program coordinator. Engineer Bwanga, there is something here where this program is aimed at connectivity. It is aimed at connectivity and enhancing mobility. And the big question here is how will these new roads impact traffic, public transport, and overall mobility within Kampala?
Thank you, Monica. As explained earlier, the previous efforts by government to do infrastructure have been at entity level, which means that, for instance, if Chira gets financing, they will do their roads and stop somewhere, and then they will leave the potholes just in the next section, which will impact on the quality of the road, and the riders will see that there is actually disjointed implementation of the projects.
That's right.
What we are coming up now is that when there is a road that is to be done, we do not want the road user to identify that now I've left Chira, I've entered Mukono, or right now I'm leaving KCCA, I'm now entering Chira, and so on. So the planning of this infrastructure is supposed to be done in such a way that there is seamless construction, seamless standards. When you see the lining of, for instance, the lining of the trees along the road, you're not supposed to know that now I've left this entity to another entity. And therefore, one of the challenges that we have been facing in the area is the one of traffic jams. And traffic jams are primarily caused by potholes.
That's right.
Now, when you have a road that is seamlessly worked on and is flowing very smoothly, then you will ease the challenge of traffic jams within this area. And when you ease the challenge of traffic jams, you're actually enhancing the economic viability of most of the enterprises that are being carried out, because the traffic jam, the cost of traffic jam impacts directly on the cost of business, and it also is a disincentive. When you have a lot of traffic jam, people who would come here maybe from outside the country and so on to come and invest here. When a person comes here and stays a whole hour in a traffic jam where he would have spent 15 minutes, then he is dissuaded from doing business here.
That's true. And it is said that on average Ugandans lose about 6 hours in traffic jam. That is 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening. Now, speaking about traffic jam, I have a question here coming through, and someone is wondering, are there any plans to integrate public transportation solutions into this program, such as bus lanes, cycling paths, and other eco-friendly transportation options?
Yes, we are going to design the roads and implement them according to a recently published Urban Roads Design Manual that was produced by the Ministry of Works and Transport. And this one is a modern standard because it provides for cycle lanes, it provides for parking, for instance, for the other users like border borders, it provides for walking and the other facilities. We also have wider roads, which means that the issue of congestion may be resolved by providing wider roads. And then the roads are going to be separated by a delineator, like a curb, in the middle of the road. Because sometimes what causes a lot of congestion is when road users don't respect and they start driving on all the lanes,
Yes.
and therefore the oncoming vehicles cannot get access, and that causes a lot of traffic jam. Now we are going to put delineators in the middle of the road to ensure that this cruise crossing is avoided, and therefore the flow will be smoother.
Like something you did along Stretcher Road in Ntinda.
Yes, that is true.
And to add on what he has said, you know, when we were looking at this program, especially the improvement of mobility, accessibility, and interconnectivity, we looked at the campus approach, north, south, west, east. And when you see the biggest jam, it is on these trunk roads. Our roads are alternative roads to remove the traffic on the main roads and they divert them such that on the main roads the traffic is reduced. So that has been our approach in putting these, identifying these sub-projects that will be implemented under this program.
All right. And,
actually, Monica,
yes.
when an entity is submitting its list of roads that are supposed to be worked on, the first priority is given to those roads that connect from one entity
to another.
And those roads that connect to the main roads like the UNRA roads. That's the prioritization that we take, because we want to ease the movement of vehicles that are coming from the main roads or and joining the main roads.
Yes.
And then we want to ease the connectivity. Connectivity is key in this program.
Yes.
And that's why when you see in procurement, we're using the cluster approach procurement. In this cluster where we have just initiated procurement, you have seen us clustering Wakiso with Mpigi, with the Nansana, now just like we did with the Chira.
Now, speaking of Nansana, Mwanja William from Wakiso Town Council is asking you, Miss Monica, that what's happening to these roads, Kasubi Namungona and Masana Sentema? Kindly elaborate.
Now, we have said this is a 5-year program. This 5-year program, we prepare these projects, sub-projects in phases. The phase 1 was what you saw in Chira and the Mokono. The phase 2 is what we have seen that includes the Katoke road in Nansana. And now, as we embark on these constructions, we are also preparing more sub-projects. So our people should have it at the back of their mind that we are preparing these sub-projects in phases. We can't do all of them at a go. Like I earlier on said, entities must work hard to earn this money. And once we finish and embark on construction works, you'll see more sub-projects being advertised. So let's take note of that.
All right, and no one is going to be left behind. Personally, I'm happy that construction work started in Chira because we have suffered. We've suffered for months. So when we saw trucks on the road, even on X, many people from that area were very excited. So this is not a fuss. They are not selling us something that is not happening. I've at least witnessed that construction works have already started. Actually, I remember the mayor for Chira, he immediately posted on his socials the minute the contracts were signed, and it was like, work is starting today. So we are excited about this massive project, and I would like to hear your parting shots, Mr. Bwanga.
I would just like to add on to what the Undersecretary has said, that we are doing this in phases, and we have good reasons for doing this in phases.
Yes.
I am aware that everybody would want their road to be done as the first one.
Yes.
But I'm looking at a situation where if every road that needs to be done is done in the first year, then it would mean that the whole Kampala is a construction site. And the challenges that come with construction, including blockage of roads for some hours and so on, will actually catch up with us. And the the area will be very difficult to maneuver through. And therefore, the approach of going by phases, we do some roads this year. We allow traffic to go through the other roads. Then we come back and do the other roads. And then we finish with another lot. Will help continuity of traffic to flow within the entity, the areas, so that we don't block the entire Greater Kampala metropolitan area. Having said that, I think that this program is going to significantly change the face of Greater Kampala metropolitan area.
I can't wait to see that. Miss Monica, what would be your parting shots to Ugandans?
What I can tell our people of Uganda and beyond, because this road is the infrastructure is not only for the people of this region. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, will be tomorrow in Chira municipality, where we expect all of us to be, to launch this program and to give us a go-ahead that we can continue with the construction works. Our people should cooperate with the government to enable government improve service delivery in their localities, and support this program, and know that as we embark on massive construction works, you will be inconvenienced for a while, but it is for your own good, and support government as government supports you to have a better livelihood.
Well, that is Miss Monica Ejao, who is the Under-Secretary Ministry of Kampala, and also Mr. Bwanga George, or Engineer Bwanga George, who is the Program Coordinator. Now, we've been having a conversation regarding the launch of the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area Urban Development. It will be flagged off tomorrow by the President of the Nation, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and then massive construction is going to start in different areas within the Kampala metropolitan area. My name is Olive Monica. Najema Allen Namisango is coming up next with Good Morning Uganda Tourism Express. Stick around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Juko.
Yo.
Wachikuwa. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the Parish Development Model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. But what you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief, and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The Parish Development Model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government, designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
A very good morning to all our viewers. My good name is Erin Alenami Sango, and this is the GMU Tourism Express, your go-to-go segment for everything that is about Uganda's tourism and everything that you need to know about that sector. You know, we discuss travel news, we discuss the trends, we discuss accommodation, attractions, where do you need to go, what can you do, and everything that is happening in the world of travel in Uganda. So this is the perfect time for you to always tune in. If you need to know anything or any information about that, about the tourism sector in the country. We are going into the travel news this month. Actually, I think September is one of the busiest months that we have in the sector in Uganda. It is jam-packed with incredible events that are attracting different, even international tourists, local tourists to different areas of the country to see that they engage in these events. And now in the travel news, what transpired during the weekend and last week, last week we had two powerful events, festivals, cultural festivals that were taking place last week, and one of them is the Karamoja Festival. This happened in the Karamoja region, and it was highlighting or bringing together the different Karamoja tribes, the Kejongs, to put a light or a shine on the different Karamoja regions to put up the diversity that we have. You know, when you look at the Karamoja region, it is one of the regions that have been neglected in terms of tourism because of rustling for cattle. But lately, with the peace that the government has been able to ensure in this region, Karamoja is really picking up, and it is one of the most beautiful regions in the country. I'm telling you, people, if you want to see the real beauty of this country, you need to go to Karamoja. Forget about the semi-arid region that we are studying about in our primary level, but now when you reach in that place, you will actually be shocked by the green environment, the green forest. Where, like, it is really beautiful. This place is matched together with some semi-arid as well as also beautiful cultures, mountains, cattle, a lot. And this event was graced by His Excellence President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to give it more value and to also add more value and to see that the event is really a success. So it was a beautiful event in Karamoja, and it put a lot of shine on the Karamoja region. Next, the other event that was happening last week is the Rwenzori Theluji Festival. This happened in Kasese. I think something is really happening in Kasese, or I should say that the people from Kasese region are very aggressive in terms of tourism. Just last month we had the Mount Rwenzori Marathon, and this last week we had the Rwenzori Theluji Festival that was celebrating the different cultures and the natural beauty, as well as merging environmental celebration, environmental conservation. Now they planted more than 6,000 trees in this festival, and their goal is to see that they plant 6 million trees in the coming 5 years. So it is amazing. If you didn't attend this year, this is an annual event that you can attend maybe next year if you missed on this one. But there are also so many incredible events and activities that happened in this festival. So next year, please make sure that you attend. But it attracted so many international and local tourists into Kasese region. Now, in the travel news too, some of the events that are going to happen this very month, according to the calendar of Miss Tourism, you're going to see that we have the Echoto Hapango Fest, Echoto Hapango this very week in Fort Portal. This is also an event that celebrates the cultural diversities in Fort Portal and also the natural beauty that lies in Fort Portal and Toro region. So there is a lot that is going to happen on that Echoto Hapango Festival. You're going to see on the calendar we have the crowning of Miss Tourism Uganda. We have the World Tourism Day celebrations in Kasese. So I said Kasese has so many that is happening this year. I think it's here to shine. So if you have not been to Kasese, the World Tourism Day celebrations are just in the corner. As we are looking ahead to the celebrations, please make sure that you also join the team that will be traveling to Kasese for the celebrations. We shall also be having the Explore Mountain Rwenzori or the Rwenzori Region campaign. This is one of the other campaigns that the Ministry of Tourism has been organizing, just like we had Explore Busoga, Explore Bunyoro, Explore the North. So even this campaign is happening this very month to see that we again uncover the beauties that are lying in the Rwenzori region. A lot happens, and remember, the mountain Rwenzori is the third highest peak in East Africa and one of the highest peaks in Africa. So please, this is a place that you need to be and also have a glance on this beautiful ever snow-capped mountain. Well, that is it that we had for you in the travel news, and going into the most interesting part of this segment, the travel attractions. Now, when you look at Uganda, Uganda has mostly been taken to be one of the most beautiful natural places endorsed with so many wildlife species, so many waterfalls, beautiful landscapes, and there is one space of tourism that has been somehow ignored, and that is religious tourism. Yes, we have so many beautiful wildlife destinations. We have 10 national parks. You can see gorillas, but now these are some of the spots for religious tourism that you can visit in Uganda. If you're someone who is interested in spiritual tourism or faith-based tourism, Uganda is also one of the destinations that you can consider coming to. One, we have Namgongo Shrine. So Namgongo Shrine is also located within Kampala suburbs, that is Namgongo, and this place is remembered to be one of the places where the 22 or 23 Uganda martyrs were executed from in 1886. So it carries a lot of heritage, a lot of spiritual significance in terms of tourism and religious, because the Uganda martyrs were executed from that place. So it has a museum. You can visit the different spots where these people were killed from. So it is amazing for you to go and visit this place. A second online, we have Baha'i Temple. Now Baha'i Temple was the first Baha'i temple to be constructed on the African continent. Actually, when you still go to Google, the search engine still says that Baha'i temple is the only Baha'i temple on the African continent. But with time, other Baha'i temples have been constructed in Kenya, DRC. Other countries still have now Baha'i temples, but this one was the first one to be constructed in Africa. So it is a beautiful place. The terrain is so amazing. It merges environmental conservation and also the religious bit of the place. So when you go to this place, you will feel like God resides here. It is so peaceful for you to meditate from and also talk to your God or whichever person you believe in. So third on the line is Gaddafi Mosque. Gaddafi Mosque is located just in the center of Kampala, and it gives you a 360 view of Kampala, Kampala city. It gives you all the views of the 7 hills of Kampala, and it is very amazing to be here. You're going to climb up about a 282-stair minaret. You're going to see the beautiful interior. This place is so amazing, and it was gifted to Uganda by the late Colonel Gaddafi. So it is very beautiful. That is why it still has the name Gaddafi Mosque, but it's also the national seat for the Muslim community in Uganda. So find time. This one is just in Kampala. You're just bypassing it every day. So please find time, go visit this mosque, and you see the beautiful features that make it one of the unique things that you should do in Kampala. And then fourth on the list, we have the Uganda's smallest church. Now, I think you didn't know that we have Uganda's smallest church, but this one is located in Nebi district. This church only accommodates 3 people, including the preacher. So that means every service that happens in this church, there are only 2 attendants and then the preacher. But the church is beautiful to know that we have this smallest church in Uganda. So if you go to areas of Nebi, please find time and invest, and you also talk to God in such a place where you're very intimate and very close to your preacher. Forget this about these churches where you go to church and the only person, or when you're looking at the preacher, the preacher is very far from you. You're looking at him very far from the pulpit. But now, for this church, you're going to be just 2 attendants, probably you and your best friend, you and your spouse, and then you're going to attend your service. And next in line, we have Rubaga Cathedral and Namirembe Diocese. Now, these places are very close in Kampala here, and we bypass them every day, but we never take the time to understand the history and the cultural heritage behind them. Rubaga Cathedral is the seat for the Catholic Church, and Namirembe Diocese is the seat for the main seat for the Anglican. So these places have a lot of history that you need to go there, not only for church, but you need to go there also for terms of tourism and understand what really lies in here. And lastly, on the very many places that we have in Kampala and Uganda, lastly is St. Bali Kudembe Market. Now this one is only known to be as a bustling market for everything that you can think of to buy in Kampala, but it also has some religious significance because St. Bali Kudembe is actually a name that was derived from a saint or a Ugandan martyr, Bali Kudembe, who was executed from that exact point. So if you go in there, actually inside there, St. Bali Kudembe and Bazeketa Church is inside there, the market. So you need to go to this market. This time round, around, not to buy things, or maybe to add on your shopping, you can also visit this church so that you get the history and heritage and the story of St. Bali Kudembe and Bazeketa, to understand how they're executed and how did it come for them to be executed from this place. Well, that is it that we had for you in the travel attractions today, and going into the travel tip. Today I'm not giving you something to keep on your fingertips as you're traveling somewhere in Uganda, but I'm just advising you to make sure that on the very many events that we are having in September today, please make sure that you attend at least one of the events, or at least attend the World Tourism Day celebrations, to see that we are all together, coming together, having different numbers to promote and sell Uganda as a prime destination in the world. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Irene Alena Misango, and Joram Paul is already here to take you through the business update.
To Good Morning Uganda. I'm Joram Paul Sonko, and I'm here to give you more from the world of business. The week is just getting started, and so is the opportunities that seem to be very wide open every Monday when everyone is rushing to make some money for themselves. But starting it off this Monday morning, we start off with the dairy sector, because the dairy farmers have been encouraged to work on their quality as the wet season does take shape in the country. Now, as the wet season is approaching, many of the dairy farmers have been urged to ensure that the quality of the milk production and the milk they are selling is highly prioritized. That means they have to work on their feeding, rather on the feeding of their cattle, and then also on the well-being as well as the entire welfare of the cows. Now, the dairy farmers have been encouraged to look on producing high quality milk, and this is courtesy of the quality assurance manager at Lakeside Dairies. Now, Wamala Sydney Mark says that they should target the upcoming rains to grow fonder that can be used to feed their cows during the dry season. Now, despite concerns among farmers about potential drops in milk prices, processors have reassured them that the prices will depend on the required quality standards, simply because they are now trying to upbeat with the international demand as well. Now, despite concerns among some farmers about the potential drops, again, the processors do believe that if at all the quality that you have as a farmer is up to standard, then the chances are so high that you will definitely not receive low pay for your milk production. Now, the dry spell has had led to significant deduction in milk production, as well as high milk prices thus far. And however, with the onset of the rains across the country, you get to realize that the situation is seemingly going to change in the long run, especially till the end of the year, as we try to project how 2025 will look like in regards to the weather conditions. Now, Mala Sydney, who's the quality assurance manager at Lakeside Dairies, emphasized that while milk adulteration is more common during the dry spells, people really need to also work on the quality. Now, Lakeside Dairies is one of the country's largest milk processors, and is strengthening its relationships with dairy farmers, retailers and consumers. Now, away from the dairy sector, we now focus on the aviation industry, because this very month of September, Uganda Airlines, the national carrier, will be celebrating 5 years of existence ever since it was revived in 2019. Now, ever since the first commercial flight to Nairobi in regards to the destinations, Uganda Airlines has expanded to 16 routes or destinations, with the 3 more set to be added this very month with the current 13. Now, the 3 routes that will be added with the 5-year celebrations, as Uganda Airlines is already at 5 years now, will be Abuja, which is slated for this very week, before Harare in Zimbabwe will be taking up, and Lusaka of Zambia that will be making the 16 new routes, or the 16 destinations for Uganda Airlines. Now, please do note that Uganda Airlines is also working tirelessly to ensure that they add the United Kingdom to their desired routes, as well as Riyadh and Accra. Now, when it comes to West Africa, last year Lagos was a route that was officially launched by the Uganda Airlines, and during the same they apparently launched a route to Mumbai, that is in India. Now, over the years, Uganda Airlines has been expanding to Nairobi, Mombasa, Zanzibar to ensure that they continue expanding their destinations and flying the crane away from the Pearl and across various regions, including the United Arab Emirates. Now, besides that, Uganda Airlines will be launching its new services to Abuja, Lusaka and Harare in a bid to increase revenue, improve fleet utilization and position itself for further market expansion. Now, the Abuja service, operating 2 times a week, will be launched on September 12, 2024, with Lusaka and Harare to follow in a fortnight. Now, Lusaka and Harare, operating 4 times a week, will be a triangular operation alternating between Entebbe, Lusaka, Harare, back to Entebbe, and Entebbe, Harare, Lusaka and Entebbe. Now, when it comes to the southern African parts, the Uganda Airlines has also been making its routes to Joburg in South Africa. Now, Nairobi Abuja is one of the largest underserved markets on the continent, and the absence of a direct flight between the 2 points opens up a possibility of reverse flows from Kenya for its Nigeria service. Now, Ethiopian Airlines and a few North African carriers currently serve Abuja, as the Ethiopian, which is the only link between Abuja and East and in the Southern Africa, enjoys a monopoly that has made Abuja and Entebbe one of the most expensive routes on the continent. And well, of course, as the Uganda Airlines marks 5 years, the chances are high that more revenue will be attracted by Uganda's aviation sector. And now, lastly, from our business updates this morning, we look at the forex market to see how various currencies have been faring on the exchange. This is courtesy of the central bank. .00, while at that was at the opening time over the weekend, and then closing time was selling at 3,722.95, while buying was 3,712.95. The Great Britain pound was buying at 4,892.55, while selling was 4,905.73. The euro was buying at 4,127.69, while selling at 4,138.80. Looking at the Kenyan shilling, was buying at 28.84, while selling at 28.92. The Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.37, while selling at 1.37. The South African rand was buying at 209.68, while selling at 210.24 shillings. Well, and that does it for our traffic updates. Rather, that does it for our forex updates as well as business matters this very morning. Now, coming up shortly here on Good Morning Uganda will be the Good Morning Uganda agenda. Stick around. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Juko.
Yo.
Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the Parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
I'm Dr. Sandy Nixon. I'm the economist of PDM Parish Development Model, who sits at the Secretariat, and I'm in charge of pillar number 4, which is social services, and also Ediamfuna, which we call economics. So far, so good. As PDM, we come closer to the people, and that's its purpose, that brings service closer to the communities. Therefore, we made sure we come closer to the people. I myself, we came to know that these people are in need, mostly in Natet Parish, because of the various activities they are doing. Therefore, we engaged them, and we had to call also other partners to come in to support, mostly on mindset. Yes, to change their mind from what they are doing to come up and they do what is right, mostly for economic transformation. Briefly about Natet, that the leaders of the parish, both political and the parish development model, are so innovative, and they have that will, what we call patriotic will, to make sure their people move from the subsistence, householding, to money economy. As you can see, some of them have now started getting income Some of them have improved by constructing their shelters, only receiving 1 million from parish development model. It is real and it really works. As we talk of, it is economic social transformation, as well as someone's pocket or income increases, even the lifestyle changes. What he has been eating, where he has been sleeping, it automatically changes. After getting the money, the income increases, then the life changes. They now move to hotels, they move to other sorts of income generating activities. Because we know the most problem for Ugandans is capital, what we call seed capital. So the government, through parish development model, decided to come up and give them seed capital in terms of parish revolving funds. And when it say economic improving, automatically social life also improves. You see them now educating their children, you see them changing now from even hotel management or hotel engagement, or you call it any hotel. You will see them even improving to another level. Some they will start even constructing these hotels. Now they are at higher level, not at low level, which we call Toninyira. But as we move on, as we say, the grace period for this man is 2 years. After 2 years, we expect that they will have moved from even Toninyira to another level. One, for those who have not yet received the money, I tell them to be patient. PDM is for everyone. The take of it, it is not money for sharing, that all of us will.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, it is 11 minutes past 8 o'clock this morning. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and you are watching Good Morning Uganda. We are coming to you live from the broadcast house at Nile Avenue here at Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, last week, Nakaseke District suspended 21 head teachers over forgery to gain promotion. Yes, you're living in a world where teachers are forging academic documents so that they can be promoted. When you remember the principles and tenets of education, especially in primary school, we normally are taught some principles like being truthful, like working hard, like making sure that you are focused. But now you have teachers forging, head teachers at that, forging academic documents so that they can be promoted. Now, I don't want to even cast a stone at these head teachers. Probably there are conversations or deeper questions we need to ask as to why head teachers would resort to something like this. Why would they do this? What are the triggers behind before we start casting a stone at them and the action that they did? And because of that, we are having this conversation regarding professionalism when it comes to the teaching profession. And I'm having this conversation with Mr. Philbert Baguma, who is a seasoned teacher and also someone that is very passionate regarding any matter education. Mr. Philbert Baguma is also the General Secretary, Uganda National Teachers Union. So he is the better person to help us understand why we are witnessing things like this. Also, you've noted that many teachers are seeking early retirement, especially teachers that are in government-aided schools. Why is this? I'm sure Mr. Baguma has a pretty much good understanding about what is happening in the teaching profession, what teachers are grappling with, and also after the COVID-19 pandemic, many teachers were really disenfranchised because of the schools being closed for 2 years. So after that, Do we have enough teachers in our schools? Did some of them not return back to school? The conversation is wide, and you can join us through WhatsApp number 0709 602 592. Mr. Baguma, you're welcome to Good Morning Uganda.
Thank you, Madam.
I think for the teaching profession, there should be another title for teachers, because personally I believe that you do quite a great job. I believe we cannot be whoever we want to be without teachers. A doctor was taught by a teacher to become a doctor. A lawyer, an engineer, a graphic designer, photographer, all of us have been instructed by a teacher. So I'm glad to have you here today.
Thank you very much. And of course, teaching is the mother of all professions.
That's right.
And this started with Jesus Christ. He was the first teacher. And therefore, we are proud to be called teachers.
Teachers.
We maintain the title of the teacher.
No need for another title.
No, that one is good enough.
It's good enough. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I like that. So, Mr. Baguma, I would like for you, as we start our conversation, to help us and describe the role of the Uganda Teachers Union in ensuring professionalism and accountability among teachers.
Yes. First of all, I think we need to put this clear on the mandate of a labor union. Because if we don't separate it, then we shall have the roles of government as an employer being hipped on the labor union, and then we shall blame the labor union for not doing what it is not supposed to do. But for clarity to the viewers, Uganda National Teachers Union has two major goals. And these goals are on two pillars. We have the protection pillar. And therefore, we stand to protect the legitimate rights of the teachers. When you go to the Uganda Constitution of 1995, as amended, Chapter 4 talks about the promotion and protection of fundamental and other human rights and freedoms. And therefore, quite often, the rights of teachers are suppressed. So, one goal of Uganda National Teachers Union is to make sure that we protect the teachers from this suppression. Number two is promotion. And what do we promote? We promote the cause of education development in this country. Because we are aware that you cannot have teachers where there are no learners. And therefore, we must make sure we promote the cause of education development in the country for the good of the learners, for the good of the teachers, and for the good of our country.
Yes.
And therefore, arising from that, when we talk of the mandate of UNATO, it is true we touch professionalism, we touch unionism, because for you to become a member of the union, you must first of all become a professional.
Yes.
So you first become a teacher and then become a member of the union. So when we are doing one of our areas of emphasis, education and training, we do sensitize and update our members on professionalism and unionism. And this is, unfortunately, some of the stakeholders do not understand this concept. Because even within the Uganda government public service standing orders. There is a whole chapter on labor unions and associations. They are provided for. And therefore, when you go to Article 40 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, under Clause 3, economic rights, 3A states that every worker has a right to form or join a trade union of his or her choice for the promotion and protection of his or her social and economic interests. And therefore, as long as you are a worker, including yourself,
yes,
you are supposed, you have a right to join or form a labor union of your choice. Therefore, as a union, we maintain the professionalism of our members through education and training as one of the major areas.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Now, going back to the meat of the issue, it is professionalism. Mr. Baguma here has explained pretty well what them as UNATU do and consider for one from the teaching profession to join this union. And he said professionalism is key to one joining UNATU. But going away from UNATU and its mandate, let's look at the teaching profession in itself. How often are cases of forgery, cases of academic forgery within the education sector in Uganda?
Obviously, forgery is not only for teachers.
Yes.
It is unfortunate that our society has started moving and taking on the abnormalities to become normal.
Yes.
There are a lot of forgeries. And sometimes what brings forgeries? There are gaps created. First of all, we have a system which is broken.
Broken in
the
what
process
sense?
Of recruiting people into public service has gone into disarray, where people buy jobs. Recently, you had a case of Rakai, where a man had camped at the district headquarters saying, you must give back my 20 million, which I gave you when you promised that my son is going to get a job. Now, there are systems where money is tagged to the job. If you want to become a teacher, you must pay 2 million. If you want to become a deputy head teacher, you must pay 3 million. If you want to become a head teacher, you must pay between 3 and 5 million. Now, this is unfortunate because that is the beginning of the whole rotten system.
Yes.
Because you imagine a situation where someone who is going to do interviews, instead of preparing the documents, is running up and down to look for the money to bring on the table. Now, that is where the forgeries begin from. Because even when they are looking at the papers, you already know I gave you my money.
So you won't even
so
put
you
in
won't
much
even
effort
look
to
at the papers,
yes,
because you know your contract with me is to give me the job. And that is where the unfortunate is. So if you go to the field, definitely you will find people who have used forged documents to access the jobs. The unfortunate bit is that even when they go down to look for them, some of the people who put them there are the ones who are going to validate. So at the end of the day, how do you remove me when you are the one who put me there? So at the end of the day,
more money might exchange hands and the people stay where they are.
It becomes a complex situation. Yes. But it is an unfortunate situation which we must condemn. Because if you have used forged documents to become a doctor, you have used forged documents to get any job, whether teaching, whether you are becoming a lawyer or so, that is unfortunate, because what you are doing is contrary to what you are supposed to do as a professional.
Now, away from the ethics of the profession, where as a lawyer you must not do this, as a journalist you must not plagiarize, you know, or defame people, let's look at the other effect. How does a head teacher, a teacher's forgery of academic documents endanger learners?
First of all, for you to become a head teacher, you must have served a number of years.
Yes.
Actually, to be precise, you should be having more than 10 years in service for you to become a head teacher. Now, if someone is using forged documents, we need to answer or ask ourselves so many questions. One, if they are head teachers posted to schools, where does this one who is forging arise from? Right now as we talk, many schools do not have substantive head teachers.
Is that government-aided schools or even private schools?
Of course, private schools is another story. But
Okay.
we are talking about public schools.
Yes.
You have schools in place, but they don't have substantively appointed head teachers. They don't have substantively appointed deputies. But those who have qualifications to do it are there. But they are not recruited. For reasons best known to those in the system.
To those
Sometimes you find in the local government, for example, they are comfortable dealing with those who are not substantively appointed because they are going to bring tithe. Every time there is a release of UPE, of USE, they are going to bring back. Because you are a squatter, you are not appointed, and therefore they will be reminding you that we shall send you to where you are supposed to be. And that is something that is happening and everybody knows it.
That is
why?
Living on
Why
tenterhooks.
should we, in our planning as a country, why should we have a school without a substantive head?
When you say substantively appointed headmasters or head teachers and deputies,
yes,
what exactly do you mean? What is the criteria for substantively selecting these head teachers and their deputies?
Yeah, every school is supposed to have a head,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Now, this head teacher, you must have the qualifications for becoming a head teacher. And they must advertise. So if a local government, for example, has 89 schools, we would expect to find 89 head teachers. Now, in the event where you find a local government with 89 schools and you have only 30 substantive head teachers, and the rest 59 are given a title which does not exist. Caretaker head teacher.
Caretaker head teacher.
Yes. There is no policy in this country where the word caretaker can be found. But we have caretaker head teachers in this country.
Also, I've heard of cases where there has to be a selection or an appointment of a head teacher and someone is in acting capacity for years. Are those the ones you're talking about?
Those are not, you see, when you are going to be an acting, you are the head teacher in waiting.
Yes.
And you must have the minimum qualifications of a head teacher. And you can only be given acting by the appointing authority under a minute. And you can only act for 6 months, renewable once. But here you can have someone acting for more than 5 years.
True.
But the policy is talking of 6 months, renewable once. And therefore, when we have these loopholes and gaps, they create room for people to go and start forging their way to occupy these gaps which exist. Otherwise, if these gaps were not there, if you have 100 schools and you have 100 substantive appointed head teachers, now you forge to become a head teacher of which school?
Because all the gaps have been covered, so you have nowhere to go.
So sometimes the systematic gaps which exist also cause this. We have head teachers who caretake for 20 years.
Imagine that.
You imagine you are caretaking for 20 years, and even when they advertise, don't be surprised to be told that you have failed. Now the question is, what have you failed? If you have been entrusted with a school for 20 years, and someone not being ashamed comes and tells you you have failed the interview, then why did you maintain a failure for 20 years?
Okay, we will get back to the point of the gaps and how they should be covered. But looking at all these forgeries, all the people that are occupying offices they are not supposed to occupy, or taking caretaking for schools, when in actual sense that doesn't even exist in the policy, one would wonder how these cases affect the reputation of the teaching profession in Uganda, especially in primary but also secondary schools.
You see, this does not affect only primary. In all offices, including in ministries.
That's right.
You find there people who are caretaking, acting, they are assigned duties, but we have full-time appointing authorities who are being paid by the taxpayer. And that is where we need to look at the challenges that exist, are having the root cause in the gaps that we have in planning for the country. And therefore, when you have someone who is doing the work, but is not sure of tomorrow, this person does not concentrate on work. Yes. I have told you, like for the case of head teachers, if you are a caretaker, some of the district officials will, or the ministry officials will enjoy that season because they will keep reminding you that, remember, we only put you there, but you are supposed to be in the classroom teaching.
So they keep reminding you that any time.
And because you have enjoyed the status,
yes,
the temporary status,
you're going to do everything humanly
you also don't want
possible
to go back. Now you end up messing up. The money that is meant to be spent on the teaching learning process, you will end up having this money taken back to the officers because you have that loophole. But if you are substantively appointed, when they ask you to bring a kickback, you have a right to ask for what? This money is sent and with guidelines on what to do. And therefore, one of the ways of curbing all this forgery is to make sure that we place people in the right offices and they are substantively appointed so that you know you are there as a head teacher, substantively appointed, and you are accountable and responsible for your actions.
Right. Now, the case in Nakaseke, their LC5 chairman, Ignatius Como, did mention that if the accused, these 21 headmasters, are dismissed, it might create a staffing gap in these schools. And for me here, I would like to know how bad or how dire is the staffing issue in Uganda's schools, especially Uganda's universal primary education and universal secondary education schools?
Actually, when you go to the countryside and you interest yourself in some of these schools, you may ask yourself how they are surviving. Because the staffing levels are very low. And every time you talk about staffing levels, the concerned persons will tell you wage bill. Wage bill. Now, we are only focusing on wage bill, which is not adequate to deploy the right staffing levels, and we are at the same time demanding for service delivery. If you have, for example, you have a school, a P7 school,
yes,
which is supposed to have 8 teachers, including a head teacher. In case there are just one stream per class. And in this school, you have about 5 teachers. Every time a lesson is running, 2 classes are not attended to. Out of the 5, 3 are females. And 2 of them deliver. They are entitled to maternity leave of 60 working days.
Yes.
Leaving the number to 3. 3 teaching 7 classes. But at the end of the year, this school is also supposed to produce results like any school.
Has to be as competitive as the schools that are well staffed.
Recently, I met some head teachers in the field, and there was a secondary school which has 1,800 students with only 9 teachers on government payroll.
And the rest?
Some are privately employed. But you know, the president has continuously said he doesn't want the parents to pay.
Yes.
Even some head teachers, as I talk now, have been aligned before court for charging money in UPE schools, in USE schools. Now, if the government has deployed 9 teachers, and you are a head teacher, and
you have
you are not supposed to deny
students,
a student or learner access to the school, because that is a case on its own. Now, the students have come to the school, and you have 1,800 students in the school against 9 teachers. What do you do as a head teacher when the head of state is saying, don't charge any money?
So now, Mr. Baguma, let's look at these gaps, because 1,800 students, 9 teachers, even in my head, the math is not mathing.
But we have scenarios where a teacher is teaching 300 learners in one class. And these are small children, P2, P1, P3, 300.
Ideally, those learners should be in streams of 30 or 40 pupils per class. So I see that you really understand the extent of the problem, you know the root cause. So what would you have government do to cover these gaps? Because it also brings something else to the fore. We have a new competence-based curriculum for O-level.
Yes.
Now, if I'm running a school that has 1,800 students, I believe majority of these are in O-level. How is this curriculum even going to work when we don't have enough teachers?
Obviously, you see, you imagine you are in this school and you have all these students and you are 9 teachers. So how do you teach them? That means every teacher is the ratio, teacher-student ratio will be 1 to 200.
Yes.
So how do you teach them? And the classrooms you have, they can only accommodate up to maybe 60 if you squeeze them. So where do you put the rest? And if you put them in the classes of 60, squeezed, where will the others be? And therefore, what the government should do, we have the machinery. The RDC's office has been, I think, overstaffed. Because you have an RDC, you have the deputy RDC, you have assistants.
You have the
I
cow.
hear they are adding their others.
Yes.
Why do we continue to have these issues which are affecting service delivery and they are not reported? What are they doing in these offices? They are supposed to go to the field, bring the information, put it on table and say, for us to serve Ugandans, we need to address this.
Yes.
And the issue of staffing and deployment in schools is a very, very big issue. Because the government is saying children must go to school.
Yes.
Actually, there are now discussions of having free compulsory primary and secondary education. But for you to achieve this, you must make sure the teachers are there. You must make sure the infrastructure is there. You have the classrooms, you have the latrines, and so that when these children go to school, they have where to sit. They have the resource materials to use.
Yes.
They have the teachers to teach them. So it's a whole complex idea, but the government needs to do much to make sure that the children they have are advised to go to school. And the access rate has gone high because of UPE, because of USE. But the numbers of students, the numbers of learners must match with the numbers of teachers. The lower secondary curriculum requires a lot from the teacher. But this teacher is having high numbers. So how does he or she facilitate the teaching learning process? This teacher has been demoralized more than ever before. You have created a family of those who are happy and those who are not happy.
I believe
but they are supposed to do the same job.
I believe you're hinting on the salary disparities between arts teachers and science teachers, and they are all attending to the same students.
That is the most unfortunate thing this government has done to public service ever since they came to power. Because it has totally killed service delivery. And anybody who loves this country must address this. Otherwise, don't talk about service delivery. People are there, they are at work. It is presentism as opposed to absenteeism. They will be there, but no work is being done.
I understand where you're coming from, because I've seen that discourse where even now some head teachers are saying some of the teachers that we supervise are earning much more than we earn. But
they
it's a whole...
They even earn more than the chief administrative officers, the town clerks, the DEOs, who are supervising them. The chief administrative officer is the head of civil servants in a given local government.
Well, Mr. Waguma, I understand your sentiments, and you've been at the forefront of having the arts teachers' voices heard, and to see that they can also have a salary enhancement. But that's a whole other discussion, and hopefully one time we can also delve into that. But I like where your mind is when it comes to the teaching profession and the gaps that need to be covered. I would like to hear your last remarks as we come to the end of our conversation.
First of all, the government brought the programs of universal primary education and universal secondary education, universal post O-level education and training. These increased the enrollment, but the investment in education is still very low. Actually, when you are rating Uganda on the African continent, we are the third from the bottom, because the commitments were made that as countries, they committed to invest 20% of the national budget in education. Uganda is at 8%.
We invest 8%.
8% of our national budget. And that explains why most education institutions and schools are having caretaker head teachers, are having caretaker deputy head teachers. Right now as we talk, some of the local governments did not pay June salary. Isinjiro district, they have not received. Kabale district, they have not received. Chiruhura district, the first district, they have not received the July and the August salary. Now, how do you expect the teachers to go for third term when they have not been paid? So, when we are looking at this, we need to look at what is it that needs to be done so that the civil servants concentrate on doing their work rather than talking about salary, rather than talking about infrastructure, rather than talking about resources to use while at work. So my advice is that as a government, we need to take stock of all these challenges and move towards solving them. Because our planning must begin from there. If you want a country to develop, you must invest in education. If you don't invest in education, then you cannot think of development of the country. All these initiatives the government is putting in place, without education, we are wasting our resources.
Wow, that's quite deep. All these initiatives by the government are encumbered by poor investment or lack thereof in the education sector. Now, it's important to note that the Ministry of Education and Sports regulates more than 30,000 pre-elementary, elementary and secondary school institutions. But it's also important to note that nearly 60% of the country's schools are private. Why are they private? Because parents are running away from the poor systems in government schools, so they go to private schools where they think they can get better education for their children. Yet, it shouldn't be this way. In countries in the neighborhood here in East Africa, there are governments that have ensured that private schools do not actually survive, so that all the children in that country can have a chance at a better education. And I think that in Uganda, we might have to also emulate the same. But our conversation has come to an end. I've been speaking to Mr. Philbert Baguma, who is the General Secretary, Uganda National Teachers Union. And we've been speaking about, we've been assessing the quality and professionalism in the teaching profession or in the education sector in Uganda. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. Now, you need to remember that today at 7 p.m. Uganda will be playing Congo Brazzaville at Nambole, and the game at the Mandela National Stadium, Nambole, and the game will be live on our national broadcaster, UBC. But Ruben Mpima is coming up next with sports updates, and he will tell you more regarding the same.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This